In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make indie pop rock music. And to do that, I remade one of my favorite songs, Water the Flowers, Pray for a Garden by Valley. And I'll break down my remake of the song's elements, the sounds of those elements, the mixing, the structure and arrangement, all that jazz. So hopefully by the end of this tutorial, you can make a song in a similar indie pop rock style to this one. Set the tempo around 95 BPM, start off by making some long string chords. The strings themselves are going to be in the background of the mix overall, but these are the basic chords that we're going to be using throughout the rest of the track. Just a simple progression like this that takes up 2 bars, and I use chordchord.com to help me make these chords, not a sponsor, and I use it all the time in all of my tracks, and I feel like it's amazing just to get a good idea of how to make chords. And for the string sound, I use this viola sustain preset from Flex. And for the mixing, I have this EQ on here taking out a great chunk of the lows because we're going to make a very prominent rolling bass line through this, and we don't want the unneeded lows of the strings to counteract with that in the mix and make it sound muddy and weird, so that's why we just take that out over there. Next, chop up those chords into some guitar presets. I actually just used the chop feature on the long chords with these settings over here just to get a standard rhythmic feel with these chords. I used 5 flex presets to accomplish this sound. I used this guitar preset over here, this one as well, this one over here, and last but not least this piano preset from Flex as well. These last 2 guitars over here are very plucky, strummy guitars. These first 2 are more of a lower chugging guitar kind of feel, all fitting under the electric guitar category, by the way. And then this last piano over here is just to fill up the background of the chords and really amplify it in the mix, just strengthening the guitars, not really to stand out on its own as a piano. For the mixing, I put this Fruity Blood overdrive on here with the filter turned up to about halfway, just to give the guitar some extra intensity in the mix, but also filtering down those higher ends, giving it its own kind of space in the mix. And this EQ as well, taking out a great chunk of the lows for the same reasons from earlier, as well as focusing on filtering down those higher ends as well, just so that we really capture the guitar essence of these sounds without having too much of the higher ends piercing through the mix. Next, take the bass notes of the chop chords and put them into some bass guitars. And by the bass notes, I just mean like the root notes of what these chords actually are. So for example, if this is a B chord over here, you're going to have a B for the root note, which becomes the bass note. And then if you have an F sharp chord over here, you're going to have an F sharp for the root note, which becomes the bass note. And you do the same for all the chords in the chop progression like this, until you put them into a bass that sounds something along the lines of this. The same rhythm as the chords, just to help keep that rhythm continuing throughout the mix. I used 2 bass guitar presets from Flex to accomplish this sound. I used this one over here and this one down here as well. The first bass guitar preset just focuses on the low ends of the bass sound, and then the last one over here helps to add that extra acousticness and bass guitar texture to the sound as well. The only mixing that I put on here is this Fruity Blood overdrive on here, nothing done to it, just the preset thrown in there, just to help intensify the bass and give it some extra power to punch through the mix as well. Now for the drums, I have this kick. Make sure it's a short acoustic kick with lots of texture. I have this snare. Make sure it's like a lo-fi-ish kind of snare with lots of texture and acousticness as well. I have this hi-hat playing as well. It's almost kind of like a shaker. It has a lot of natural organic feel to it. And I put the 3 into a pattern that sounds like this. As you hear, all the sounds together are very acoustic and indie feel. To support that pattern that we just made, I chopped up a drum loop over here to fit the pattern. It just really elevates those sounds in the mix. And then I added a crash to start the chorus drums. And all together, the drum loop sample thing that we made sounds like this. So you can really hear that indie pop rock feel with these drums. And the only mixing that I put on these drums over here is a Fruity Blood overdrive, just so that we really have some extra amplification and power in these drums to blast through the rest of the mix. Now for some extra effects, I have this chugging guitar loop. It's not the exact chords that are playing, but the texture of this loop helps to really give it that extra indie pop rock edge. And then just an occasional acoustic guitar hit over here. just to add some extra texture and flavor to the mix so it's not too stale and boring. Now for the structure and arrangement of this track, generally with this type of song you could get away with just like copy and pasting this over and over again and just changing up your vocals and vocal melodies and stuff like that. I just have some intro effects leading into this, and that's exactly what I did over here. I have everything playing all together: the chopped guitar, the strings for the background, the bass guitar, the extra guitar effects, and the full drum pattern down here as well. Here's what the full structure of the track looks like over here, and after all that, here's the final result. I can't stand